First of all, I'd just like to say welcome everybody to our 11th year of Generations of Faith. Welcome back to those of you who've been with us before, some of you for all of those years, but especially I want to offer the warmest of welcomes to the people who are starting Generations of Faith with us, especially those of you with children, families who are coming. Generations of Faith is for everyone, but I'm well aware that for many of you with families, this is the place that you turn to for the religious education of your children. Over the 10 years that St. Elizabeth of Hungary has been doing Generations of Faith, we've collected up a ton of experience, and I know from experience that this program is just hugely important and has made a wonderful contribution to many in our parish and to the parish as a whole. And honestly, as your pastor, I wouldn't have it any other way. I suspect some of you might be wondering, well, why not the old religious education, such as is done commonly in other parishes?
Pope Francis tells us, "Dear families, you know very well that the true joy which we experience in the family is not superficial. It does not come from material objects or from the fact that everything seems to be going well. True joy comes from a profound harmony between persons, something which we feel in our hearts and which makes us experience the beauty of togetherness, of mutual support along life's journey. But the basis of this feeling of deep joy is the presence of God in the family and of His love, which is welcoming, merciful, and respectful towards all. God alone knows how to create harmony from differences. But if God's love is lacking, the family loses its harmony, self-centeredness prevails, and joy fades. But the family which experiences the joy of faith communicates it naturally. That family is the salt of the earth and the light of the world. It is the leaven of society."
So when we speak of faith formation, we're saying let our faith govern our lives. Open more and more of our lives to what the first and greatest commandment is, to love the Lord with our whole heart, our whole soul, our whole mind, and our whole strength. You don't do that all at once, but you take on the task little by little so that each day that's more and more true. When you do that, as Catholic faith guides us to, we're doing the work of faith formation. Our parish is committed itself to helping all of us, me included, to do that. And I don't know of a thing that is more important. So, to you parents who are wondering, how do you meet your responsibility for your children when it's not a classroom that you send your children to? Can you feel good that you are meeting your responsibility? In my view, you ought to feel not only good, but actually pretty thrilled, because you're actually setting your children up for something much, much better, because we aim to do what's at the core of the gospel much more effectively and in a sustained way than ever the old model could have done.
Okay, so when we first heard about Generations of Faith, I was a little hesitant, to be honest. It was adding one more thing into our busy schedule, and I wasn't sure how we were going to do it. But now that we've been actively participating for a number of years, I'd say that there are things that I really value from Generations of Faith. So the first is, it really helps us as a family to access our faith more. We learn about things that help us to think in church and be more mindful about our faith and not just habitually practicing our faith. And a perfect example is when we learned about the Triduum. That we learned what it was going to be like, so then we were ready for it when we took part in it, and we felt more comfortable accessing it. And even the sessions on how to pray at different times, to express different emotions, I think that's a wonderful thing. And so we've really been able to use that to deepen our faith in our family. The second thing is it really gives our family a shared experience. Even though we're at different sessions, there's a foundation that we're all learning, and then we can bring that back. And often on the car ride home, we talk about what we learned. We talk about it at the dinner table, and just other times in our daily lives, we can think about what we learned and how is it applying to what we're experiencing in our lives. One thing I really appreciate is the values and faith that we get from generations of faith echo what we're trying to teach our own children. It's so important to us, and I think it's really important for kids to have other adults in their lives who are giving consistent messages. I think it really helps us in raising our girls.
So, Generations of Faith really is all about the Eucharist. It's all about how we can bring our lives to the Eucharist in a more aware, committed way, such that we can come away from the Eucharist with our faith strengthened, our life more focused, our walking it more committed, and that from our life we now have questions and resources to bring to our faith and back to Mass the next day. And Generations of Faith means to help that dynamic happen better and in a more focused, informed, and supported way than it ever could otherwise.
My family and I have been doing Generations of Faith for 10 years here at St. Elizabeth's. It works for us. We started out in the beginning, we made it a priority. We thought it very important to give our daughter a solid faith to lead her through life. So we chose to go with Generations of Faith and make it a priority. Going to church on weekends and going to Generations of Faith aren't choices. They are must-dos on our calendars. The other thing is we admit that we don't know everything there is to know about our faith, and that we too, along with our daughter, are on a journey to grow deeper in our faith and learn more along with her. It really has helped us to be involved in some way. There are many ways to get involved. You can help out. Just helping out in the kitchen, for example, is a great way. We chose to get involved in the classroom. We started out with Cindy Harrington in the younger grades, being table leaders. I chose to get involved with lesson planning and met with Cindy in the beginning, and then we moved on to Barbara Dane, and now my daughter's in high school and we're working with Jim Flanagan. It's been a great way to connect with her age group, with what's going on, and get to know some of the other kids in the programs. And as I said, we're learning along the way as well. And then the final thing is prayer. For us, we decided to, whenever we sit down to dinner, we say grace, and it's a good time to reflect on what's going on in our lives. And we always think of people who may need our thoughts and prayers. We think of people who are sick or struggling with something, or maybe traveling and need a blessing for safety as they're traveling. It's just a nice way to reflect on other people in our lives and get outside of our own needs, but think of others.
If you are a person who lives your Christian life in an intentional and sustained way, yes, with all the faults and the skips and the glitches that are going to be there, but if you do it intentionally and consistently, your children are going to know that. And they will learn the lesson without you having to speak a single explicit word. They will get it. They always do. So you are, in fact, forming your children. And what I'm going to ask you to do is simply be alert to that. Recognize it, own it, and then be deliberate about the kind of impact you want to have on your children, not by what you say, but by what you do and how you do it. And once you do that, or as you do that more and more, then the words you speak to them about it are going to ring true and have a much better impact on them than ever can be the words that are not authentic unto action. And our children get the difference. There's no doubt about that. They get it. So the best way you can do right by your children is to do right by your faith, by your God, and by the life of charity and service that we are all called to do. I'm delighted to be part of this. My life has changed for the better on account of it, and it has been my privilege as pastor to kind of encourage this, such that the riches and the graces of our faith can be put forth much more generously and in a more accessible way to everyone, young and old. And I hope you will continue to join us, but more than that, I hope you will continue to embrace all that the Lord gives you for yourself, for your children, your families, the work you do,